that's the creation of the first humans. Well, it doesn't really say that. We actually get people created on day 6. Now, is that the same creation as Adam and Eve as with day 6? And the likely answer to that is only if you believe the Bible contradicts itself. But Adam is created in singular. Eve is created sometime later from the rip. The whole earth had become corrupted by the fallen angels, including all of the people of day 6. Do we have an example of that? Yes. Now suggests that the fallen angels had set up their religion before Adam.
Before the first city was built, before the first fire was lit, before language carved itself into stone, something walked this earth, not as myth, not as legend, but as flesh and blood. Most of us grew up with a simple story. In the beginning, God created Adam. From Adam came Eve, from them all of humanity. Clean, linear, settled. A story we never questioned, because why would we? But what if the very same Bible tells a different story? What if buried inside those ancient Hebrew words is an account that most theologians have either overlooked or deliberately avoided? What if Adam and Eve were not the first humans on earth, but something far more specific, far more intentional? A divine commission dropped into a world that was already ancient, already populated, already corrupt. Scholar and author Gary Wayne, the man behind the Genesis 6 conspiracy, has spent decades inside the original Hebrew texts, cross-referencing ancient manuscripts and mapping what he believes is a second, older creation of mankind. A humanity that predates Adam and Eve, and the deeper you go, the harder it is to unsee. So before we dive in, let me ask you something. Were Adam and Eve really the first human beings on earth, or were they something else entirely? When Cain was cast out of Eden and fled into the wilderness, who did he find there? Because according to Genesis, at that point there were only 3 people in the entire world. And when God created humans on day 6, male and female, in great numbers, commanded to spread across the whole earth, is that the same creation as Adam, or is that a completely different story? And today, Gary Wayne is going to walk us through exactly what it means. What were humans before Adam and Eve? Let's find out together. Genesis 1 and Genesis 2 do not tell the same story. When you lay them side by side in the original Hebrew, the differences are not stylistic choices. They are structural, sequential, and nearly impossible to explain away. In Genesis 1, on day 6, God referred to as Elohim creates humans, male and female, plural, in numbers. They are nomads, commanded to multiply and spread across the entire earth. Then Genesis 2 begins, and everything shifts. The name of God changes to Yahweh Elohim, a compound name that does not appear once in chapter 1. A single man is formed, one, placed in a specific garden between the Nile and the Euphrates. He is not a nomad, he is an agrarian. And then something happens that the day 6 account never mentions. God breathes his spirit, the Ruach, directly into Adam. That divine breath is exclusive to Genesis 2. The day 6 humans receive nothing like it. Gary Wayne's conclusion is simple. This is not the same event described twice. It is a separate creation, inserted into a world that was already populated. And then there is the question the church has never cleanly answered. Where did Cain get his wife? Genesis 4 says Cain left, arrived in the land of Nod, found a wife, and built a city. A city requires people. But by every traditional account, at that point there were only 3 people on earth. The sister theory collapses against the chronology. Seth isn't born until Adam is 130. The math simply does not work unless someone was already out there. The idea never died. Modern scholars like John Walton and Michael Heiser have both entertained readings where Adam is not the first biological human but a representative chosen from within an already existing humanity for a specific divine commission. The text keeps generating the same unanswered questions, across centuries, across denominations. 2 names for God, 2 different orders of creation. One man who receives the divine breath and millions who don't, and a woman waiting in Nod for someone who, by official doctrine, should have had no one to find. For 2,000 years, the answer has been, don't ask.
So, in 2 Peter 3, where we get a template for prehistory of this period, you have a day is 1,000 years. So if a day is 1,000 years and you have the beings of the field that are created before male and female, you could have up to 1,000 years difference.
So if there were already humans on Earth before Adam, the next question is obvious. What kind of world were they living in? What had happened to them? Because the Bible doesn't describe a neutral, innocent humanity waiting for God to intervene. It describes something far darker. The word translated as serpent in Genesis 3 is the Hebrew nahash, and it means far more than a garden snake. In biblical Hebrew, the same root word carries the meanings of sorcerer, necromancer, and diviner. The International Standard Version actually translates it not as serpent but as the shining one. And critically, the word nahash is never used as a proper name for Satan anywhere in the Hebrew Bible, which means the entity in the garden and Satan are not automatically the same being. Gary Wayne builds directly on this. In Ezekiel 28, Satan is present in Eden but as the anointed cherub, a different title, a different form. The Nahash is something else, a being from the day 6 creation, already corrupted, already functioning as a priest of a counterfeit religion that had been running long before Adam was formed. Satan was the architect. The Nahash was the visible agent. And that system didn't appear overnight. According to early Enochic tradition, the Book of Enoch, which was considered scripture by the earliest Jewish communities and is directly quoted in the New Testament letter of Jude. The Watchers, a group of fallen angels, descended to earth, embedded themselves into humanity, and began passing forbidden knowledge to humans: sorcery, astrology, weapons, the occult arts, an entire spiritual infrastructure built in direct opposition to God. Gary Wayne places all of this before Eden, before Adam took his first breath. By the time the garden was planted, the corruption was already ancient. This is why the Nahash was already there, not as an intruder who wandered in by accident, but as a representative of a system with deep roots, a priest of a religion older than Adam. And the fact that he was punished as a beast of the field confirms what Gary Wayne argues. The Nahash was a day 6 being, a pre-Adamic human. As you know, I'm new here, and if you enjoy this kind of content, please consider subscribing to the channel.